The MLB trade deadline is fastly approaching, and after July 30th at 6 p.m., rosters will be pretty much set as teams try to make that final playoff push. If you're anything like me, the MLB trade deadline can be one of the most exciting times of the year. So I wanted to take some time to look at the top 25 pitchers that I think could be moving teams at this year's deadline.
Let's start things off with some honorable mentions. First off, Max Scherzer. I've seen him in a few trade rumors so far this year. I just don't think he's going to be healthy. And on top of that, the Rangers might see themselves as contenders. He's not getting traded. Along the same lines, I got Daniel Bard from the Rockies. He's been out all year recovering from knee surgery. The Rockies will be selling, but he's just not going to be healthy enough to be traded at the deadline. Just like Scherzer and Bard, Kyle Hendricks has an expiring contract in 2025. Unlike those two, he has been playing. Unfortunately, he hasn't been playing well. If the Cubs decide to move on from the veteran at the deadline, they'll be hard-pressed to find a team that will give up much of value for him. Another free agent in 2025 is Alex Wood. He's been traded a few times in his career, but he's probably having one of the worst years of his career so far with Oakland. He could prove to be a versatile depth piece with some experience for a pitching staff, but there are just some better options out there in my opinion. Ross Stripling might be an intriguing veteran innings eater, but he hasn't been pitching well either. And Bailey Falter is an interesting one. He's not a free agent until 2028, but the Pirates might see an opportunity to sell high on him since he's having such a good year for his standards, but he doesn't quite make it onto this list. And finally, Shawn Armstrong. He's got some playoff experience, but he's kind of just a mid-reliever. Nothing exciting. Just off the top 25 list. At my number 25 spot, I have Nick Martinez of the Cincinnati Reds. He's currently pitching to a 4.5 ERA, but the advanced stats are saying that he's probably getting a little unlucky. He's done a really good job of getting batters to swing at pitches outside of the zone and get soft contact, but he hasn't really passed the eye test for me. He hasn't been great when I've been watching, which may be a bit biased, but it lands him the 25 spot on this list. It looks to me like he might be the odd man out in the Reds rotation, but them possibly pushing for a playoff spot, I don't think it's all that likely that he will be traded, giving him 1 out of 5 airplanes on my trade likeliness scale. In terms of his form this season, this is pretty much what we would expect from Nick Martinez, with that upside of having better luck maybe in the future. I'm giving him 3 out of 5 flame emojis. Finally, in terms of what the Reds could get in a prospect value for Nick Martinez, he's not a huge name, but he could be a valuable piece for a contender if they do choose to trade him. I'll give him 2 out of 5 tractors on that scale. Nick Pivetta is number 24, and I'm going to be real, he's probably the pitcher on this list that I feel the least strongly about. He's serviceable, and he's got a great breaking ball that gets him a lot of strikeouts, but other than that, there's not much to say. He's on the last year of his deal, and the Red Sox are kind of out of it. He's going to get traded, and he's got some postseason experience, so that could come in handy as well. ERA under 4. He could pitch in the bullpen and the rotation. Good piece. Next up, I got Andrew Kitteridge. He's a rental reliever who's not having the best year of his career, but he's got a nasty slider, and if the Cardinals fall out of the playoff race, he could be a good reliever for a playoff team. Next up, I have Kyle Finnegan. He is a hard-throwing reliever who has filled in as the closer at some points in his Washington career. He's got 2 years of control, but if Washington wants to move on from him here, I'm sure there will be teams that come calling, as there's plenty of teams that are looking for a late-inning reliever. Number 21 is another late-inning reliever in Carlos Estevez. He was an all-star last year and is a free agent this offseason. It makes all the sense in the world for the Angels to trade him, putting up a season that we've come to expect from him, and he has an expected ERA under 3. But he'll be a rental, so I don't expect the Angels to be able to get that much for him in the trade market. But he is a high leverage reliever, so I'm sure there's a lot of teams that'll be calling for him come July. Number 20 is another Angel in Tyler Anderson. The storyline with him is he's greatly outperforming his expected stats so far this year. He's a savvy veteran with a funky delivery and 2 years of control. He does have a decently large contract. The Angels might need to eat some of that salary if they want to get some better prospects for him. But ultimately, he's having a good year. I do think that one team will bite on him and offer some prospects, and the Angels should take that. They have a weak farm system right now, and they should take what they can get. Luis Severino's coming in at number 19. The Mets are going to be sellers this year. They're not in the playoff hunt, and they're looking to shed payroll. Severino is an obvious trade candidate as he's a free agent at the end of the year, and he's having a pretty decent year. He's been able to keep batters off balance with his 6-pitch mix, and he's gotten a lot of soft ground balls. It probably won't take that much in the way of prospects to get Severino, and he could be a quality rotation piece. In 18th, we have Zach Eflin. This is a veteran arm. He has playoff experience. He's got the versatility. He can pitch in the bullpen, in the rotation. He's coming off a spectacular 2023. His 2024 so far has been kind of meh, but he's got another year of control after this, although he is due $18 million next year. With that being said, he is the type of guy who's going to go out there and get you consistent quality innings, and that has proven to have trade value in the past. I think he's going to be one of the top arms on the market this year. At number 17, I have someone that was not even on my radar at the beginning of the season, Eric Fetty from Chicago. He's having a career year in his first year back in the MLB after coming over from Korea and a KBO MVP season in 2023. This guy is all about movement. Every pitch moves, and he avoids the barrel of the bat. And with him not being a big name and this year kind of coming out of nowhere, I don't think that it's going to take a whole lot for a team to get him out of the White Sox, especially since he has another year of control after this year. If I'm a contender, I'm willing to take that risk. At number 16, I got another reliever rental, and this is Dylan Floro, another guy who wasn't really on my radar last year. He's a sinker baller who's pitched to a 1.5 ERA so far this year, and he's really not a big name, and I don't think it's going to take a lot to get him. But don't fear, Nationals fans. Maybe get a young guy who eventually turns into a star. That's how the Astros got Yordan Alvarez. And at 15, I got a starter who won't be a free agent for a long time, JP Sears. And you may be looking at the stats and saying, hey, he's ranked way too high, but I swear he's good. Like, you have to believe me. Every time I watch this dude pitch, he gets 10 strikeouts. It's not reflected in the stats whatsoever, but I swear he's good. Number 14 is Cal Quantrill, and I swear I didn't do this on purpose. You have to believe me. This is another guy that the stats just don't do justice for. He's a dog. He had a bad year last year, but he's bouncing back. You can't trust the stats. He's a competitor. He's going to give you quality starts, time in, time out. Sinker, splitter, slider. He's going to get strikeouts. He's good. Believe me. You have to trust me. And here I photoshopped him into a Guardians uniform because he's going to get traded back. Okay, enough agenda pushing. Number 13 is David Bednar. This guy has been one of the best closers in the game for the past couple seasons, but he's having a really bad season, maybe the worst season of his career so far. But he's got a power fastball, a splinker, and a breaking ball. It's basically Johan Duran light, and he's got 2.5 more years of control. I don't think the Pirates will trade him, and it's going to take a lot to get them to trade him, but you can't rule it out. Number 12 is probably one of my favorite arms on the market. That's Yusei Kikuchi. He had a slow start to 2023, but he's turned it around. In my mind, he's always been a finesse pitcher, but he's running that fastball up there in the mid to high 90s. He's a veteran at this point, and he's not a free agent until 2025. It might take some good prospects to get him, but he's a premier arm on this hot stove. At number 11, we have the converted catcher, Kenley Jansen. He may be the biggest name on the list so far. A legit closer with real postseason experience. He's only a rental, but you know what you're getting with him, probably. He could be a big piece in a bullpen for a team this October. Now, before we get into the top 10, this video is brought to you by me. So if you're enjoying it, subscribe. Now back to the list. At number 10, we have Trevor Williams. He's on the last year of his contract, and he's having a career year this year. It's partly due to a new sweeper that he's been developing and hitting his spots with his fastball. He doesn't have a blow you away fastball, but he's improved his strikeout percentage from last year. But he's a 9-year vet who might be one of the premier arms on the market this summer. And honestly, if he's throwing 90 average on his fastball, I don't think it's going to take that much to get him. And he's got that good extension to make that fastball feel faster than it actually is. I think this could be a steal for a contender. And then at number 9, we have Paul Sewald. This is a legit closer who just made it to the World Series with the Diamondbacks last year after they traded for him at the deadline. He's only made 12 appearances yet this year, but he's been lights out. The thing here is with him, the Diamondbacks are fighting their way back up into the wild card race. So I don't know if they're going to choose to trade him at all. But if they do, a World Series caliber closer is an intriguing option for some of these teams. At number 8, we have likely the biggest name to be traded at the deadline this year, Aroldis Chapman. If you're a baseball fan, you likely know Aroldis Chapman. He's a flamethrower, and he's not having the greatest year this year. He's walking batters like crazy at 21%, but he's also striking batters out like crazy at 37.4% of the batters he's faced. He's getting up there in age, but he can still throw 104. But it might be same story, different year with him, as a team that might be a year away from competing signed him and is going to trade him at the deadline to a competitor. much like the Royals did last year, and they got a key piece in Cole Reagans out of the deal. At number 7, we have former top prospect Michael Kopech. He's been a starter, he's now a reliever, but he's someone that can get you multiple innings of outs. He does that by the strikeout. His main tool is his high 90s fastball. The catch here is that he gets hit hard when they do make contact, and he also struggles with walks. But listen here. He's young, he's got 2 years of control, and at times he's looked untouchable. And if somebody can take him off the White Sox and maybe fix some of these problems, make him a little bit more consistent, you got yourself an insanely valuable tool to come out of the bullpen. And at number 6 is Tanner Scott. This might be a controversial opinion, but I think he's the best lefty reliever on the market. He'll be just a rental, and the Marlins are going to be selling, so it makes it pretty clear to me that he will be traded. Another guy with an electric fastball that he pairs with a nasty slider. Like the last couple guys, he struggles with walks, but in 2023, that wasn't much of an issue, and he was one of the best relievers in baseball, which gives me hope. And the special thing is here, when he gives up contact, it's usually a ground ball. Tanner Scott is a top-notch closer. Number 5 is, in my opinion, the best starter rental on the market this season, and that's Jack Flaherty. He was in this exact same position last year when he was traded to the Orioles and had kind of a bad year. But in 2024, he is having a bounce-back year. He is striking out batters at an incredible rate and walking batters at an extremely low rate. His slider has been revamped, and his fastball is gaining that velocity that he once had. He's looked like that ace that he looked like in his younger years, and there'll be plenty of teams that are lining up to get him on their team for this playoff push. Number 4 is a closer fresh off a World Series victory and my highest rated rental in 2024. Kirby Yates. Looking at his pitch mix, he's not doing anything crazy, throwing 93. The splitter's nasty, and he's got a slider, but he puts up numbers. You can't deny it. I'm just going to put a screenshot of his Baseball Savant page because it's kind of crazy. He does struggle a bit with walks, but everything else he does amazingly. And he's got a 1.11 ERA. I think he's the best reliever on the market this year. I mean, this all hinges upon if the Rangers choose to sell, but I think they might. But then again, I also think that the Astros might not sell. They're kind of in the same spot as the Rangers. They might be just both trying to get that wild card spot. We'll see. Number 3, I got Jesus Luzardo. Now, at first thought when I was making this video, I had him as my number 1. But a quick glance at the numbers shows that he's not having a good year at all. Besides that, though, he's had back-to-back really good seasons in Miami, and he's a young pitcher with good stuff. He's got 2.5 years of control, so it will take a lot to get him from Miami. But this is a guy I can see being a cornerstone of a rotation for a really good team for the next couple years. Now, on to number 2, we have maybe the most talked about young reliever in recent memory, Mason Miller. This guy is just unbelievable. He's throwing 104, and he's unhittable. I mean, just look at his Baseball Savant page. Almost everything is red. He has been no doubt one of the most dominant pitchers in the league, and he's been a major bright spot on a pretty dreadful Oakland A's team. And as you can see, he's under control until 2029. So you might be wondering why the A's would trade away their one big bright spot. And you know what? That's a great question, but it's the A's. Crazy things happen. They might want to sell high at him. There's been rumors they've been willing to move him for the right price. We'll see if that happens. But if he is traded, he will be without a doubt the best reliever to be moved at the deadline. Now on to my number 1 ranked pitcher in the 2024 trade market, Garrett Crochet. You might have seen this one coming, but Garrett Crochet has had an unreal year with the Chicago White Sox. Another bright spot on a horrendous team. Garrett Crochet is a hard-throwing lefty who's made the jump from the bullpen to the starting rotation and has excelled. He's fresh off a 13 strikeout game where he basically only threw fastballs. He does have a 4-pitch mix when he needs it too. And this guy's young. He's under control until 2027. Somebody's going to have to sell the farm to get him, but if they do, they're getting an ace caliber pitcher for 2.5 years. You can look at his Baseball Savant page too. It's obvious to why he's so dominant. And special focus on that strikeout percentage and walk percentage. He's striking people out, and he's not even giving up walks. If and when the White Sox decide to trade him, he's going to be the guy to get in the trade market. Mark my words. And that's the list. Thanks for watching. Comment below if I missed anybody, and like if you've liked the video so far. I'm just starting out in the YouTube scene, and this is my first real deal video that I put effort into. So a like goes a long way for me. Thank you.